Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini, and what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Back here from another sucky weekend, putting it bluntly, of Pittsburgh sports. Here we go again. This streaming software that I use to live stream to you folks, it records the stream as and saves it in real time. I like that this software does this because probably at least one, maybe two more times this season, I will be able to uh, watch a Steelers game and I can replay what I'm about to say here tonight, and I'm sure what you guys are about to say, and it'll fit the context of whatever game that so happens to be. We're here, same old thing happening with the Steelers, like always. It's the same old 9-8 Steelers team that they have finally showed their true colors. They are who we see every single year with a below average offense ran by an offensive coordinator without a game plan, and a highly paid defense that is filled with miscommunication and confusion and can never put together a string of shutdown performances like they are paid to do. Just to mention what all we're going to get into here today, we'll try to keep things light and short here today, even though I doubt it'll be that way. We'll start here in a moment, recapping what went down in Steelers Bears yesterday afternoon. After that, we'll get into some losers and winners. Lots and lots of losers, very few winners for the Pittsburgh Steelers from yesterday's game. After that, third, we'll get into some Pittsburgh Penguins hockey. They not doing any better than the Pittsburgh Steelers as of late. Played 2 games since we last talked. So we'll talk about what went down in those. And then after that, we'll wrap up with some extra Pittsburgh sports news from over the weekend. Before we get into this depressing ass Monday for Pittsburgh sports fans, if you are new here to the channel, welcome. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications so that you never miss a thing here on the channel. Like this live stream, share this live stream in the comment section. Please leave a comment. I'm sure you guys are going to be filling it up as the stream goes along here tonight. Any thoughts, questions, opinions, ideas on how to fix anything going on with Pittsburgh sports, get those in there. We'll appreciate it if you do so. Also, go give the channel a follow at Steel City SR on Facebook, Instagram, and X, and tune back in later tonight for a new edition of SCSR 60. Before we get into the first segment of the program here tonight, let's go to the comment section. A couple of regular viewers here, especially on Mondays. Mondays usually one of the more bigger streams of the week here on the channel, aside from game streams. Derpy, he's the first in here today. Welcome, Derpy. I'd like to clarify, it's not Tomlin's fault, and anyone that thinks it's his fault is a low IQ. Mason was given the keys to win, and he wasn't clutch. Well, Derpy, you might want to tuck your head a little bit, because some other folks in the comment section might disagree with you. I might disagree with you with what I'm about to say here in a little bit. Derpy again here. I think we should just throw out Will Howard and ride it out. Hopefully get bad record for a better pick. That I actually might be able to agree with a little bit. See what you have in Will Howard. But then again, on the other side, as much as I think a weirdly large majority of Steelers fans would be interested in seeing what Will Howard can do, it almost feels like you'd be dooming the kid before he starts. Absolutely no prior NFL experience up until this point. You throw him in there, you're throwing him to the wolves even more than you threw Kenny Pickett when he was here and was a rookie. So as much as I want to see Will Howard as much as the next person, I am a little bit hesitant of just putting him out there without any preseason action or things like that. That seems like it'd be quite unfair, and you'd be going to great lengths, almost, destroying the kid's career if things go bad before it even gets started. Flacco in here as well. Welcome, Flacco. Man, we had 8 chances to win. Indeed, we did. And lack of execution and poor decision making by the entirety of the coaching staff. They're lumped into one here today for me. That is what really was the downfall of the Steelers. The Steelers beat the Steelers as much as the Bears beat the Steelers yesterday, in my opinion. Very lucky that we were within 3 points at the end of that game, to be honest. Tyrone, he's in here now. He's the first to combat Derpy here today. Going to be reading without putting much on screen of you guys going back and forth with each other. Derpy, this game maybe not, but last 13 years, where you been? 10 years, no playoff win, 9-8. The 9-8 Steelers, they are back, ladies and gentlemen. Like they never left. They actually probably didn't leave. They just, like it's Halloween, put on another mask of, oh, hey, we look like this team to start the year. But then they come back. They come back to reality here. Flacco, we just need an actual WR2. We can't just be forcing it to DK if he gets hurt. We're so done. We are going to mention DK in the winners and losers category. You can probably guess which category he is in, and I got a bit of an idea here on this whole WR2 search thing, and we're going to be changing the name of that a little bit, if I had to guess. Let's go here. More comments coming in. Hires Matt Canada and Arthur Smith talking about Mike Tomlin. That's probably the biggest damnation of Mike Tomlin. You know how tons of NFL fans talk about coaching trees, like, oh, this offensive coordinator for this head coach then became a head coach elsewhere. Mike Tomlin's coaching tree, it's almost like a shrub, and like any other plant or vegetation outside, it is wilting and wilting and wilting. As you guys, Tyrone and Derpy mainly, go back and forth between the comments section, I'm sure you guys, I'm going to try my best to read what you guys put in going against each other throughout the stream. Let's get things kicked off here already. Let's go right into the first segment of the program here today. That is a recap of what went down yesterday, just to get the picture of yesterday back fresh in everyone's minds. The Steelers yesterday, typical Mike Tomlin-led Pittsburgh Steelers game, if we're being honest. The defense, they had to live and die by turnovers. They did more dying than they did living. The offense, they had just one job: don't turn the ball over. Some of the game, according to that game plan, some of it did go pretty well, but when big play opportunities came on at crucial moments on both sides of the ball, the Steelers, they missed more chances than they did succeed. Before the game even began, the Steelers, they were already down. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers was indeed inactive yesterday with his left wrist injury. It seemed like there was a decent chance throughout the week that Rodgers was going to play. He certainly was acting like he was going to be good to go, but according to Tomlin and Mason Rudolph, Rodgers not playing, that was decided Saturday night. So that means Tomlin, the coaching staff, the medical staff, whoever, they didn't even give Aaron Rodgers a shot to go out there, maybe take a couple of snaps pregame and see where his wrist is at. So they put the old bubble wrap on him before he could even test out how he was feeling pregame. On to the game itself. Steelers, they started on defense, had a breezy 3-and-out that was forced. Pretty decent start to the game, but then on the second play from scrimmage for the Steelers offense and Mason Rudolph's first pass of the afternoon, the Bears got the ball back. Rudolph, deep shot down the sideline for DK Metcalf. Maybe a tad bit underthrown, but Bears corner Nashawn Wright, he made a hell of a play, sort of bringing it in one-handed, gets both feet in for the interception. I think that's, more than anything, just a hell of a play by that defensive back. Chicago then, methodically, 56-yard drive. They moved down the field, punching the first touchdown of the game to DJ Moore. Steelers offense did respond in a pretty big way, though. A muffed kickoff from Kenneth Gainwell. That had the Steelers starting at their own 5-yard line. The black and gold then a 13-play, 95-yard touchdown drive. It was pretty much all screens and runs. It was capped off with a screen to DK Metcalf. He had all three of the Steelers tight ends blocking in front of him. So usually when you have that size on the outside against, corners and safeties, maybe the occasional linebacker, you're going to score more often than you don't. Momentum surely shifted the Steelers' way there for a bit when the defense awakened for a brief moment. Back-to-back penalties put the Bears offense back on their own goal line just about, and then TJ Watt makes them pay. Caleb Williams, begins to scramble out of the pocket. Watt tracks him down, strips him of the ball. Ball is recovered in the end zone by Nick Herbig for a touchdown that made it 14-7 Steelers. Fumbleitis then spread from Caleb Williams to DeAndre Swift. He somehow lost the ball in a sea of humanity on the following drive. Steelers rookie Y.A. Black comes up with the recovery. At this point in the game, it felt like the Steelers had an excellent opportunity to deliver as close to a knockout blow early as he possibly could at that point in the game. They're up a touchdown, and they're getting the ball back near midfield on offense. But then many errors, one of many errors that the Steelers would have throughout the rest of the game. They then began on 4th and 1 at the Bears' 30-yard line. The Steelers, they decided not to settle for a field goal, and they tried a tush-push attempt. The snap exchange, it was a little wonky, so the Steelers' initial push was stopped short, but then second effort from Connor Hayward, I swear he got across that line. The officials reviewed it during a commercial. They come back, said he didn't. I thought that was BS. All of you did in real time as well. So Steelers end up turning the ball over on downs. For the second time in the half, Bears capitalized off of a turnover. They passed and ran the ball almost at will against the Steelers defense. It was finished with a 12-yard TD pass to Colston Loveland with Kyle Duggar covering him in man coverage. The game did not remain tied for long. Massive play set up the Steelers. A massive play set up another Steelers touchdown. 4th and 1 again. Steelers lined up again for a tush push, but instead this time Kenneth Gainwell takes the snap, spins out to the right, takes up the sideline for a 53-yard gain, almost scored a touchdown. But then one play later, Jaylen Warren, he punched it in for the go-ahead score. Bears, however, did kick another field goal before halftime with some help from the Steelers defense. The first play of that drive was an interception by Joey Porter Jr. It then got called back because I think Nick Herbig was lined up off sides. Things got even worse because 2 plays later, the Steelers, they had Chicago in a 3rd and 5 situation near midfield. And for some reason, everyone in the secondary dropped well behind the first down marker. That gave the Bears more than enough space to convert. They ultimately kick a field goal. So at halftime, Steelers up in that game 21-17. You kind of felt for a brief portion that the brief portion of momentum that the Steelers had was starting to, fade. But, there still was time to turn things around. Offense was getting the ball back, and they were up by 4 points. Maybe you go out there, you put up points, you feel good about yourselves. Then, as you probably could guess, none of that happened. Steelers, they tried to establish the run, but a sack from Mason Rudolph and another near interception by Nashawn Wright shut down the Steelers' drive. Things got even worse. The Steelers' punt did pin the Bears back inside their own 10, but a penalty confusingly was called on Brandon Echols, and the Steelers, their second punt, again after the penalty, was terrible. Bears started their drive from the own 40-yard line, and it took them 5 plays to hit pay dirt. Caleb Williams dicing up the secondary through the air, and probably the easiest pass that he has thrown so far in his short NFL career. He hits a wide freaking open DJ Moore for a 25-yard touchdown pass, leaving multiple Steelers defenders looking at each other in confusion, like who the hell was covering this guy? Turns out it was no one. At that point, would have been nice if the offense were to pick up the defense a little bit, maybe chew up some clock. Nope, they went 3 and out immediately. Steelers defense goes back out there, but good news is that they forced a 3 and out. Bad news is the Steelers offense, the wheels started to completely fall off. Mason Rudolph gets sacked, loses the ball. It's recovered by Chicago. Bears, they would make the most out of another turnover by the defense, pushing their way down the field and scoring. They shaved off, I think, over 4.5 minutes of clock on 9 plays before Kyle Monongai punched it in to put Chicago up by 10. Needing a crucial response here in the fourth quarter, Steelers offense, they scored a touchdown. The running game carrying them down inside the 5-yard line before Mason Rudolph on 3rd and goal hits Pat Freiermuth in the back of the end zone for the touchdown. The only downside is that the Steelers used up nearly 8 minutes of clock to bring the game back within 3 points. Now, we here on the channel, we do it almost every single game we watch the Steelers. We have been waiting all year for this team to have a fourth quarter drive where they eat up a ton of time and keep the opposing offense off the field. But of course, they do it at the most worst time when they're actually, behind. So that's typical. Down by 3, defense, Steelers defense, they had one job to do, hold the Bears offense at bay, and they did. With 2:44 left in the game and 3 timeouts, Steelers offense, they were set up decently to at least, go on a game-tying field goal drive, even though I think they were back at their own 15. This is when the biggest mistake of the game was made. On 3rd and 4 at their own 23-yard line, Mason Rudolph, a massive 22-yard scramble up the middle, puts the Steelers pretty much in field goal range. You get a couple more yards, that'll make it easier for Boswell. The play then gets called back because it was an illegal formation on the offense. Calvin Austin, Kenneth Gainwell, not lined up properly, and there's a video circulating on Twitter and other places right now. I'm sure you guys can go find it, where you have Aaron Rodgers. He's on the sideline, and before the play is snapped, he puts his hands to his head and he goes, "Oh no, wrong formation." And they run it, gets called back. To make things, to just pile on that thing there, Mike Tomlin, he decides to punt on 4th and 9 instead of going for it with all 3 timeouts and 2:01 on the clock. Fortunately, the defense, they made another stand, forcing the Bears to go 3 and out. Steelers burned through all 3 of their timeouts then. Plenty of, there's still a good bit of time for the Steelers to, get into field goal range, but I think that penalty crumbled any sort of confidence they had offensively. And you add on top of it the poor play calling from Arthur Smith. That helped the Steelers to turn the ball over on downs, sealing the win for Chicago, 31-28. Another winnable game for these Pittsburgh Steelers. They let slip through their fingers thanks to poor execution and even poorer decisions by the coaching staff, in my opinion. Post-game, Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin, he said that they all collectively take responsibility for the loss and that he has some expectations that Aaron Rodgers will be back healthy for next week's game. So Tomlin, again, in the many ways and cliches and metaphors he says, "Oh, we take responsibility," even though he rarely ever takes true responsibility that this team sucks year in and year out as a 9-8 team. And also, whoop-de-doo, getting Aaron Rodgers back next week after watching that debacle, that makes everyone feel that much better. So that's outstanding stuff right there. Also, Tomlin said, I think any injuries the Steelers had were fairly minor. DK Metcalf got rolled up on a couple of times. Broderick Jones had a weird-looking injury where a Bears player, sort of jumped on top of him as he's standing. Might have jarred his neck or something. I think those guys will be okay. We also heard from multiple frustrated players on defense in the past 24 hours. TJ stated the obvious. TJ Watt stated the obvious. We have a lot of things to fix and fix quickly. No shit. Believe you had Jalen Ramsey. He was visibly agitated with reporters and he was short with all of his answers post-game. And today, inside linebacker Patrick Queen. He has risen up a little bit, my favorite Pittsburgh Steelers players right now, because he, as a current player on the team, finally said the quiet part out loud and something that we as fans have all been thinking and have believed for a good while now. When asked about opposing wide receivers running wide open against this defense, Patrick Queen's answer, I think it was sometimes schematic issues we had. I think it's sometimes schematic issues we had. It's kind of hard for 2 guys that are underneath defenders to try and guard 2 routes. That's overhanging the hashes and stuff. As much as you try to get a bang on or whatever, it's hard to do that. It's hard. It's a hard spot to be in. Finally. Someone on this defense calling out poor schematics, something that we've been doing here for a while. And lastly, just recapping this game, let's not forget that it is now official. The Pittsburgh Steelers, who had a 3.5 game lead in the AFC North over everyone else, they had a chokehold on this division. Now they have choked it away. The Baltimore Ravens, back in first place, they come out of the basement at 1-5 and are now 6-5 on the season. Same record as the Steelers, but they hold the tiebreaker. And now the Steelers, before Thanksgiving even hits, out of a playoff spot in the hunt category. Outstanding. And like you see there on your screen, the Steelers showing their true colors. They are who we thought we were. A 9-8 team that, one game or another, it's going to have one side of the ball completely do nothing. Outstanding. Ton of you in the comments right now. Thank you. On your way in today. Going to try to catch up to your comments here in a moment. Do want to get to this real quick. I did see this, and I will get to it now. Appreciate it. I kind of had a feeling that my dad was going to put it in here. Thank you, Flacco, for the birthday contributions. Thank you, Keaton, our Tyrone. Thank you all for the birthday wishes on your way in here. Appreciate it. But it's just another Monday covering the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's more how I view the birthday today more than anything. Back to the comment section here. Seeing a ton of comments here. I'm going to try to catch up with them here if it's possible. Let Brian Flores walk, keep him send me help talking about Terrell Austin. Yeah, kind of knew that stuff was going to be going downhill in a hurry when that happened. Flacco coming in here with a bunch of different wide receiver options. Some of those guys available right now. Has anybody ever heard of Deontay Johnson in months now? We do a wellness check on Deontay Johnson because I have not heard his name in the slightest bit, practice squad wise or anything else for any team in the NFL. He just really fell off the map after leaving here. Brandon Cooks, we will touch on Brandon Ayuk. I know why you threw in Brandon Ayuk there, Flacco. He will be in the extra Pittsburgh Sports News segment. We'll bring up his situation as well. Try to catch up here. Welcome here, Magic. Magic in the comments section. I see here 9-8. Here we come from Tyrone Keaton. Believe that is on the docket there. One drive changes the entire narrative of the game. It was a great game by my squad. What drive? Because I think it was the second to last drive that truly was the nail in the coffin. A surrender punt that we haven't seen since, I wouldn't say we haven't seen since the Kenny Pickett days. I'm sure we had at least one or two of those with Justin Fields or Russell Wilson, but it's just something so frustrating that Tomlin insists on doing. Surrender punt, relying on the defense all that much, even though your offense just needs to do a little bit to stay out there on the field and keep trying to catch up here and, keep things rolling. Oh, boy. Rather have had Emmanuel Sanders. Honestly, can't go too wrong. Bring in Emmanuel Sanders. Bring in Martavis Bryant. Can't be any worse right now. Killer Bees, I blame stupid AB for the breakup of the Killer Bees. Think eventually that, trio is going to run its course because at some point someone's going to get mad not getting the football that much. And yeah, stupid wash defense without a franchise quarterback. And that's what makes this 9-8 even that much more sufferable, because you go 9-8, maybe you make the playoffs, maybe you don't. This team stuck in purgatory, picking 20th, somewhere in the 20 to 24 range in the draft, with little hope of having a quarterback worth taking in the first round slide down to you. So that's what makes this even worse. So many holes I feel are going to need to be filled. And are the Steelers. They got a ton of draft picks, but so many holes are going to need to be filled, and I'm not sure how they're going to be able to do it in the draft. You made a great point yesterday. Last 7 quarterbacks, including Ben, the offensive scheme was short catches, relied on heavy yards after the catch. Yeah, I mean, indeed it is. There's no more pushing the ball down the field, and really ever since Ben retired, Mike Tomlin has been deathly scared of throwing over the middle of the field. And I think the only reason, I'm actually only scratched that. I even think Tomlin had that same mentality with Ben, and it was just Big Ben putting, saying, screw you, I'm going to do whatever I want, drawing up plays in the dirt there at Heinz Field. So, now that Ben is gone, you don't have the renegade going against Tomlin's wishes, which, when Ben did do that, most times it worked. Now Tomlin has, his finger, more than his finger, he's got his whole hand on this offense. And no matter who comes in, it's listen to Tomlin, listen to that. You definitely saw this team revert back to that yesterday with Rudolph, because Rodgers, he can go against Tomlin a little bit, but with Rudolph in there, he knows he's going to get benched if he goes against what Tomlin says. It's almost like I'm trying to compare this to the Pittsburgh Penguins, because it just a couple of weeks ago, you had Erik Karlsson for the Penguins come out with a quote about old head coach Mike Sullivan, and he said, this new coaching staff, they're allowing us to play, how we are bred to play, not, going out there and just doing what are told, even though it doesn't fit our skill set. So I think that's where the Steelers are right now. Tomlin just wants the team to do the same thing over and over and over again, without any sort of mold or adapting to the strengths of the offense, and rely on his defense, which is his baby. It's his baby. Just absolutely ridiculous. All of you coming in here, talking amongst yourselves, talking to me. I'm hoping I'm getting all of the comments here as they come in. Going to get into winners and losers from yesterday's game here now. Let's start, of course, after a loss, with a loser. Derpy, might want to cover your ears here. Loser number 1, the coaching staff. Instead of just singling out all 3 of the coaches, which you could definitely do, why not just throw all of them into one mega losers category, which I'll do here. Let's start with the head of the snake. It's Mike Tomlin. This was, like I said earlier, your typical Mike Tomlin game. Rely on the overhyped, overpaid defense that is old as hell to get turnovers, and cripple the offense by telling them to never throw over the middle of the field and protect the ball even when you're down and you need to start taking risks into games. The Bears, especially, throwing over the middle of the field, pissed me off, because Tomlin doesn't want them to do that. The Bears had no linebackers. They had no linebackers yesterday, and you still did not want to throw over the middle of the field. It boggles my mind. It does, honestly. This strategy of over-relying on the defense and handicapping the offense, it's a strategy older than Dick LeBeau at this point, and he'll keep on going to it for some reason. It has us losing another game that you should have won by double digits, and now the Steelers, they are at a negative 27 differential in explosive plays created and given up in the passing game this year. They have given up 27 more explosive passes than they have created explosive passes. Make that sound even better. In the end, you did have a chance to win, or at the very least tie this game, but instead, down three with 3 timeouts and the 2-minute warning still, you, Mr. We Don't Live in Our Fears, Mike Tomlin, had the fearful decision of punting the ball. Which, hey, even if you turn the ball over on downs, the Bears, your defense can still stop them with, the 3 timeouts. The Bears kick a field goal, and then, you're going to need to go a good bit to, score anyways. At that point, I'd rather just, try to keep that drive going rather than rely on the defense and then, needing to go score a touchdown. So just, I don't get it. The punting the ball, I can say that a lot here. We all can say that a lot. We don't get what the hell this team is doing anymore. Things have gotten that. No, scratch that. Things have been bad for this defense, and yet it remains the same week in, week out. I mentioned Patrick Queen earlier calling out the scheme, and it's not just him. James Harrison, he called out the scheme as well on his podcast, saying we have a terrible, horrible defensive scheme. It's trash. It's garbage. We can't adjust. Preach to the choir there, Debo. I think even J.J. Watt on the CBS broadcast for yesterday's game called out the defense at times. So, yeah, Tomlin, except for, being he's on the hot seat, Tomlin is, with every single person that watches this defense, except he's not really on the hot seat because Mr. Art Rooney II, won't get rid of him. If Rooney actually nutted up over the offseason and traded Tomlin to the Bears because, hey, we remember they wanted a first-round pick. They wanted to give us a first-round pick for Tomlin. We could have hired Ben Johnson, and maybe the roles from yesterday's game would have been reversed. It's just my feeling on it. Just so frustrating. And I'm sorry, if y'all come in and you see me here talking about the same things, recycling the same talk, whether it's here on news streams or game days, but it is exactly that. It's the same thing over and over and over again without changing a single thing. Rely on the defense, even though they get older and they get more money thrown into that pit, and keep the offense from, taking any sort of risks, trying to go win the ball game. Tomlin would 999 times out of 1,000 have his defense drive the bus instead of the offense. So it's just very, very frustrating. Steelers, they're now 1-13 in Chicago all time. Sure, Tomlin is very excited to keep that streak going. Feels like we've said this before, and it probably won't be the last time any of us say this. Mike Tomlin, likable guy, gonna have a bust in Canton someday probably, but change needs to happen, and it needs to happen yesterday, or more realistically, 7 years ago. And before I get into the next guy here, pretty much anything I say for this next person, it also applies to Mike Tomlin, because the defense is schemed and, when he feels like it ran by him. Going into the defensive coordinator, Mr. Puppet Man himself, Teryl Austin, still pretty murky to tell who's to blame more for the defense, whether it's him or Tomlin. But regardless, he is still to blame. Even if Teryl Austin is just a lapdog coordinator doing all the biddings of Tomlin, this defense still should be better than 20th in scoring defense, and it wouldn't every third game be getting 30-plus points put up on them. And right now, it's starting to approach every other game. They're giving up 30-plus. Like, even if you're, doing the main guys bidding for most of the game, those other portions in the game where you're truly running the defense, this defense should be much better than what it is. So the defense sucks under Austin. The play that honestly encapsulated the entire performance yesterday of that Steelers game came at the end of the second quarter. I mentioned it passing by. The Steelers, for most of the game, they did a good job getting the Bears into third and medium, third and long situations. But then when they were in those situations, they did something completely unimaginable. For example, 3rd and 5, the Bears at their own 41. The Steelers dropped every single defender. There's a perfect still shot of this on Twitter. The Steelers dropped every single defender back in coverage at least 5 yards behind the first down marker. And shockingly, to everyone's surprise, you had Luther Burden catching the ball, and he had, 3 yards with no one within 10 yards of him to get upfield and get the first down. Uncontested, underneath, given up on a 3rd and 5. Let's drop everyone back. Makes no sense. Remember about 2 years ago when you had Minkah Fitzpatrick still here? Steelers were playing the Packers. Minkah was hurt. Last play of the game, the Packers, I think they were around the 30-yard line. They pretty much had to take a shot at the end zone. And Fitzpatrick, before the play was ran, was screaming at Austin to have everyone drop back to the goal line to protect the obvious, to protect the area where the ball was obviously going to go. I think Austin might have gotten PTSD from that, to where now by nature, he insists on dropping every single defensive back and coverage linebacker at least 10 to 15 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. Just that play, it still haunts in our minds right now. Also, didn't it feel eerily similar to that Thursday night game against the Bengals from about a month ago when Jamar Chase was running wide open on a shallow crosser about 5 yards past the line of scrimmage, and no Steeler player was in the frame with him? That's what it felt like. Another free thing, another free first down given up on a 3rd and medium, 3rd and long, because we got to protect the deep shot downfield, even though it's more likely going to be something near the first down marker where the ball gets thrown. Just very frustrating. And then we get to the offensive side of the ball. Arthur Smith, his streak of having at least 3 baffling decisions or play calls a game, they continued yesterday in flying colors. The main indictment from him in this game, for me, and this goes for the offense as a whole, was they were very predictable again and allergic to the middle of the field. I thought we weren't going to go back to having conversations like this because Matt Canada got fired, but oddly enough, we're in a similar situation here. No use of the middle of the field. Check downs, throws to the flat, deep shots down the sideline every now and again. It's the same thing pretty much that Matt Canada had. And seriously, go look at Mason Rudolph's passing chart from this game. He barely attempted a single pass between the hash marks yesterday. And I put that more on Arthur Smith and Mike Tomlin than I do Mason Rudolph. I'm sure Rudolph at some point in that game would have seen something and, been able to have one accidental throw over the middle of the field that would have had, solid chunky yardage. But nope, nothing. I wholeheartedly believe, that. Meanwhile, all of Caleb Williams' passes yesterday, they only threw to the middle of the field and had 3 touchdown passes there as well. Sure, Arthur Smith may have a bit of a better play call, may have a little bit better of a playbook, I should say, than Matt Canada, but his play calling, it's reaching Canada levels of predictability. And when he's not calling, anything, his predictable plays, whether it's a, deep shot down the sideline, a screen play with tight ends and wide receivers blocking out on the perimeter, or a pitch run to the right or left, he's now getting too fancy in the interim, which do you really need to get, pretty here? Let's just dumb it down here, get the offense getting solid chunks of yards and not, do anything too pretty that, it's going to fail more than half the time. So just unbelievable stuff there from Arthur Smith. And it's been all month too. By the way, Steelers this month in November, they have not completed a single pass over 20 air yards. They are now 0 for 11 this month on passes over 20 yards with 2 interceptions. Fantastic. Honestly, I'm shocked that there were 11 attempts of 20 air yards or more, because another thing Smith clearly wanted to see yesterday was short passes only. Mason Rudolph, 171 yards. 116 of those 171 yards were yards after the catch. So it's catch and run, screens, stuff like that, like I just said. Zero trust in Mason Rudolph to throw the football downfield, especially I think that dried up after his interception to begin the game. I could spend another half hour, honestly, talking about Arthur Smith and what went wrong with this offense yesterday. Let's just, off the top of my mind here, no easy throws for Mason Rudolph to make to begin the game. Instead, his first pass gets picked off because you wanted to go deep. Jalen Warren, where the hell was he on the gotta get down the field quick final drive of the game? Why not try to attack the opposing defense's glaring weakness, which is that they have like 5 middle linebackers out hurt, and they're trying out guys at the tailgates in the parking lot before the game to play. So just endless stuff again from Arthur Smith, where it's very, very hard to get a grip on what he's doing. Does he have a game plan anymore heading into games? I doubt it. To cap it all off, probably the biggest question, why the hell are we running slant plays 2 yards beyond the line of scrimmage with like 30 seconds left on third down when you need to get probably 10 yards to get into field goal range? That made no sense. That play gets blown up immediately. Metcalf tackled on the spot. So all you needed to do in that situation was to get to midfield, but let's run routes, just about perfectly parallel with the line of scrimmage here. Unbelievable. Make it make sense. Make any of this make sense. Oh, wait, we can't because it's Pittsburgh Steelers football. And that is why the coaches, they are the biggest loser from yesterday's game. Going to get back into winners and losers here in a second. Let's go back to the comments section here for a second before we get into a winner. Tyrone here, 8-9. 8-9. Maybe that will be the change that we finally get here. Who knows? That Cowher team was a Super Bowl ready team. And why did Cowher miss the playoffs with that same team? That makes no sense. You guys arguing back and forth with each other in the comment section. I like it. I like it. Concepts, welcome. Glad to have you here. What coach has kept his job with 0 playoff wins in almost a decade? Marvin Lewis and Mike Tomlin. I think those are the only 2 names on that list there, THP. Eagles fired a coach a year or 2 later after he won a Super Bowl. Yep. Andy Reid won a Super Bowl, got fired, rehired, and won, 3 more Super Bowls? All during Mike Tomlin's tenure. Unbelievable. Let's go back here, see what else you guys got going on. His schemes are ass. Coaches he hires, ass. OC and DC game management, awful. We don't make changes, run the same old stuff. So 10 years, no playoffs, wins most of those games. Everyone healthy. Just going to leave that comment up there for a little bit. If I could copy and paste that and just put that as the description for the show today, Tyrone, I would. Honestly, I would. Steelers have no playmakers. They do have them on the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball. Defensive side of the ball, they do, but it's a matter of can they, make the most out of the turnover opportunities that they're given. Offense, I think you got one playmaker, Jalen Warren, and for some reason, Arthur Smith has a vendetta against him, doesn't play him in the most crucial parts of the game, so that's very annoying. See you guys bringing up GP here. What makes the season even more confusing, and Magic brings it up here, somehow this Steelers team dominated the Colts, and for a majority of the game, dominated the New England Patriots as well. Make it make sense. Like, watch. They just lost in terrible fashion to the Bears. Now they'll somehow get a win against the Bills this upcoming weekend. Somehow, some way. Because that'll be it. It'll be the most, what the hell is this team? What's their identity? 9-8 season ever. And then, yeah, like Tyrone says here, first round exit. Because that's what it is. See you guys bringing up George Pickens here. We are going to bring up George Pickens here in a second. Let's continue here real quick with the winners and losers segment. Going to keep the winner segment pretty short here. Winner, if there was anyone to, I guess, be called a winner from yesterday's game, I guess I'll give it to TJ Watt. Game-changing play in the second quarter. strip sack of Caleb Williams, puts up 7 points on the board. Also on that sack, passed his brother JJ in career sacks with 115. So congrats, TJ. I'm sure he'll get some bragging rights at Thanksgiving dinner for that. Loser, second loser of the day yesterday. Steelers secondary, I'll go with here. The scheme, I know, is getting called out, but still, every now and again, a defensive back is allowed to make a play. You had, just going through here, Kyle Duggar, again, on a golden platter with diamond utensils, had a interception served to him. He lets it, go through his hands again. James Pierre had a couple of interceptions go through his fingers. Also got burnt a couple of times. Brandon Eccles, pretty invisible out there. Joey Porter Jr. Did all right, but, still would like to see him do a tiny bit more. Same thing for Jalen Ramsey in that case. Just another game for the secondary where it felt like they were miscommunicating a good bit. We hadn't really seen that over the past couple of games. Yesterday, you definitely did. So they got some things to figure out even beyond this piss-poor scheme. Another winner, I guess if I had to give a second winner for yesterday's game, I'll go Spencer Anderson. Might have had his best game as that jumbo tight end out there blocking. Really opened up some sizable running lanes for Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. That contributed greatly to their decent days. And then another loser here, the third of the big losers yesterday, Steelers wide receivers. Snoozer of a game from this bad batch. Again, leading receiver overall wasn't even any of them. It was Kenneth Gainwell with 6 receptions out of the backfield. Behind him, your WR1 DK Metcalf, 5 catches for 22 yards. Calvin Austin, he had a very quiet 4 catches for 36 yards. And, guys behind them, they're not even worth mentioning. It sure feels like this team could use a wide receiver too right now. And I told you I would get back to this. I think now it's time to go from let's go get a wide receiver 2 to let's go get a wide receiver 1. Because the way Metcalf is looking right now, he does have, WR1 size and a few traits, but it might be time to just go get someone who's, legit going to be a dependable guy week in, week out, no matter the situation. We find out this year that Metcalf isn't that. I think he's more of a high-end WR2 than he is a WR1. If you bring in someone who's, a serviceable wide receiver, would he be better? Maybe a little bit, but is he going to get you that godly, top of the league wide receiver stats that teams need in late in the season? No, I don't think he's going to get you that. So that's my opinion. Maybe one guy who could have been that for this team, George Pickens. Told you we'd get into him. This Steelers wide receiver group, I think on paper it was fair to say a few months ago it did look like the best out of the wide receiver rooms we've seen in the past 3 years. Now, I think it's turned into the worst. George Pickens down in Dallas this year, 67 catches, 1,054 yards. That is his stat line so far this season, which I know some people in here are going to be saying, oh, we should have kept George. Why do we get rid of him? I think, we weren't going to get even a fraction of what the pick of who Pickens is down in Dallas. So I want to get out ahead of that. However, Pickens, 67 catches, 1,054 yards in Dallas. The entire Steelers wide receiver room combined this season, 84 catches, 1,082 yards. 573 of those yards to your right now WR1 DK Metcalf. These 5 Steelers wide receivers, Metcalf, Austin, Wilson, Miller, Skoranek, they combined have just 28 more receiving yards than George Pickens alone. That might not only put the wide receivers as a loser for this game yesterday, they might just, I might just leave that stat in this group in the loser category for the rest of the season, because that is absolutely disgusting. Just wrapping up the winners and losers segment here for Steelers Bears from yesterday. Some other losers. Mason Rudolph. I'm not going to be as critical of Mason Rudolph as some of you may be. As a matter of fact, thinking this morning, I grew a bit fonder of his performance since we last met. Rudolph, 24 for 31. My opinion on that, why the hell is he passing that much? Had 170 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. That looks like a Kenny Pickett stat line, but Rudolph, I think, was handcuffed a good bit on what he was allowed to do yesterday, so I'll give him a tiny bit of a break there. He played like a backup quarterback, and, that's pretty much what was expected of him, honestly. If he plays like a backup quarterback, then can you really knock the guy for being what he is and not being above and beyond, which is a starting quarterback, which he's not? I'm not going to give him too tough of a time. He also had this offense score 21 points. Probably he could have gotten a little bit more if the coaches made some, certain decisions. And when you score 21 points, that should be more than enough for a $160 million defense to defend. However, Rudolph, loser, now 1-6 in his last 7 NFL starts. And that last win came last year when he was with the Titans against the Patriots, which the Patriots last year aren't the Patriots this year. They were 4-13 last year. And Rudolph had to take the Titans to overtime to win that one. So he's still a loser, even though I'm not going to be too hard on him. Officiating, again, another loser. 13 penalties at least were called between both teams. And it still feels like the Steelers got the more ticky-tacky of the calls. There was a bad call on the tush-push where Cam Hayward was ruled short. The officials missed a blatant face mask, both hands on a Kenneth Gainwell run. There was more as well. TJ Watt got held a good bit yesterday and other things like that. So officiating, again, more ref ball yesterday. And then the last loser from yesterday's game, we're really hitting the bottom of the totem pole here. Corliss Waitman, he had a bad day punting the ball, more than a couple of terrible punts that, I think were around the 30-yard mark in terms of distance. And then he had a couple of others that checked up really, really badly. They either took massive bounces back the other way. I think one punt, he punted from down inside his 20. It hit at the opposing 40, ended up bouncing all the way back to the Steelers' own 45. So just a bad day for Waitman. Hopefully it was just an off day for him, because, yeah, that was bad. Just unbelievable. The Steelers team here talking about the same things on another Monday. Makes your head hurt. Making my head hurt right now, honestly. Back to the comments section here real quick. Gonna try to see where I left off here in the comments. Eagles lost to the Cowboys. Yeah, I think Pickens nearly alone beat the Eagles after seeing that yesterday. Yeah, I was surprised the Eagles choked, was up 21-0. LMAO. Sad when Julian Edelman says Steelers still run the same stuff when he played. Yeah, we remember that. Throw him in the massive group of people calling out the Steelers running the same scheme for years without any sort of changes or adjustments. Edelman, they're running the same stuff that they ran when I played them. Like, we really got a linebacker on a slot receiver here, stuff like that. Just, yeah. No hate on GP, he's balling, but on tape, he's going against backups in single coverage. Doesn't prioritize him like they do DK. Still wish we had both for sure, just needed context. Yeah, I agree. GP does have CeeDee Lamb opposite him down there. What will really be the test, I think, will be if he goes elsewhere in the offseason, if he goes and gets a big bag from another team with tons of cap space. Also, let's take into effect, GP, would he have gotten some attention taken away from him here in Pittsburgh? Yes, because you have him in Metcalf. But also, he'd still be under this coaching regime where they are against taking deep shots downfield and over the middle of the field. They still would have had GP running, 3 routes, all of them either deep downfield or towards the sideline. They wouldn't have him running as many diverse routes as he is there in Dallas. And also Dallas, they pass the ball to run, not the Steelers who run the ball to pass it. So back at asswords philosophies between those two teams, I think, GP is benefiting from that more than or just as much as he is benefiting from having CeeDee Lamb opposite him. Looking here, see if there's anything else. Thanks, Omar LMAO from Tyrone. GP has more yards than the whole wide receiver room combined. Almost more yards. But, one more game and he'll probably do it, if I had to guess. GP is doing exactly what Juju did when AB was stealing attention, which isn't a bad thing for him. Yeah, not a bad thing for him. I'm really intrigued to see if he does, maybe decide to take a little bit less money to stay in Dallas, or if he's going to go chasing after the bag. Can we at least get our quarterback before you count out Tomlin going to win us another Super Bowl? Magic. This is where I stand with Tyrone there. Because can we at least get another quarterback before we count out Tomlin? Do you really expect Tomlin to have the right skills to be able to identify and then extract the potential and talent from a rookie quarterback? No. I'm not going to, have a Kenny Pickett 2.0 situation and then have, the Steelers probably get a more talented quarterback than Pickett and let him come here and it's, hey, check downs galore. Better not throw over the middle of the field or else I'm going to beat your ass when we get back to the locker room, stuff like that. So no, I do not want Tomlin picking another quarterback here. So much as we want one, cannot happen, or else it's going to be another 3 years of, check down, throw to the flat, screen, run the ball, all that sort of stuff. NFL hates the Steelers here from Josh the Drummer. Bills and Ravens will be coming off 10 days rest when they play us. Yeah, both of those teams playing Thanksgiving. We are going to talk about the Ravens-Bengals Thanksgiving night game here in the Extra Pittsburgh Sports News segment in a minute. CD missed a month and GP balled. Yeah, like I said, I think the offensive scheme down there in Dallas, it being nearly a complete opposite of the Steelers, that's benefiting GP as well. Tomlin gets a lot of blame for Colbert being the worst GM of all time in his final 10 years. Coaches don't pick players. Otherwise, Ben would have never been a Steeler. Well, that's also Tomlin. I think he's more instrumental in the draft. The dude is at every single, pro day, it seems like. He's always chatting up with players at the Senior Bowl and things like that. I think, Colbert listened to Mike a little bit more than what we realize. Colbert and Rooney picked Kenny. Blame them. I do blame them as much as I do Tomlin. They all fell victim to we can't let Dan Marino pass. We can't let Dan Marino buy us again, and it bit him right in the ass. Yep, THP getting right to what I was referring to when talking about the Thanksgiving night game. Come in here. What has Justin Fields, Kenny Pickett, and Russell Wilson done on other teams? We do not get more W's out of quarterbacks than they should account for. That's true, but also, who do you think orchestrated getting Russell Wilson and Kenny Pickett? And now Aaron Rodgers is fallen the same way. Who do you think is the main reason why these quarterbacks come here? Who is the first person that these quarterbacks bring up when they say, oh, the big reason why I came to Pittsburgh was because of blank? It's Mike Tomlin. So we're not letting him off the hook here. We can say all these things that they are true. They are true, but it all, one way or another, circles back to Mike Tomlin, who, regardless of status or title, he runs this organization. 9 of you in here right now. Welcome to the live stream. Over an hour into stream right now, so We are going to keep things moving here on a Monday. Let's try to keep things pretty free-flowing here and keep things moving along. Going to switch things up here to the Pittsburgh Penguins for a quick second. Back to the Pens. They, like the Steelers, busy over the weekend, and they played 2 more games since we last talked. Have the Pens, and they also, like the Steelers, not much success. Put it this way: Friday, the Penguins taking on the Minnesota Wild, their first game in 5 days since they played the Nashville Predators in Sweden 2 Sundays ago. And the Penguins, they looked every single bit like a team that played 2 games in 2 weeks, because they came out flat-footed as hell. The Minnesota Wild, they put up a 3 spot on them in the first period. They then score another goal less than a minute into the second period. I believe those first 3 period goals, those first period 3 goals, they scored those goals on 7 shots. And then they got one to begin the second, made it 4-0. Sergei Murashov comes in, does a tiny bit better, ended up giving up another goal on a deflection. Final score was 5-0 on Friday. Pretty much you want the perfect nutshell description of that game. Ryan Shea and Chris Letang, Penguins defense pairing, they were out there for 4 of the 5 goals. And opposing goaltender for the Minnesota Wild, Philip Gustafsson, his quote after the game: "I was just standing there enjoying my night." So Penguins looked like absolute shite on Friday night. Move on to Saturday. It was a back-to-back situation for the Penguins. They did switch up their lineup a little bit. Put Matt Dumba back in the lineup. Sure, Sergei Murashov got the start. I believe Tommy Novak and Sam Poulin switched sides on the third line a little bit. It was also Blake Lazot's 400th NHL career game, so congratulations to Mr. Lazot. The Penguins in Saturday's game, solid first period. They outshot the Seattle Kraken 9-3, though they did have 3 first period power plays, facing one of the NHL's worst penalty kills, and they could do nothing with it. So that was pretty bad. The Kraken did getting the first goal of the game, so they made it 1-0 in the second period. Then a little bit later on, Crosby in the slot on the power play. He pots a power play goal. Crosby on that power play goal, that was his. That made it his 500th multi-point game with the Penguins. He had an assist later on Evgeny Malkin's power play goal. That's why I bring that up. So Sid, now 500 multi-point games in his NHL career. Gino's power play goal there late, or I think still within the first 8 minutes of the third period. That gave the Penguins a 2-1 lead, but the Penguins couldn't hold on to it. Matt Beniers for the Kraken tied it up with a little over 7 minutes to go. Game goes to overtime, kind of like the script for a majority of that game. The Penguins, they just dominated the Kraken in overtime. They had like 3 or 4 chances, but then the Kraken, they just needed one opportunity, and with 50 seconds left, Brandon Montour scores the game winner. Penguins fall in overtime 3-2. They fell now to 0-5 in overtimes and shootouts this season. 10-6-5 on the season, and I won't even dare to bring up their record in the month of November, going just as swimmingly as the Steelers. Head coach Dan Muse for the Penguins after the game, probably as fired up as he's been so far in his tenure, said, quote, "This brand of hockey we played today was better, but I'm not going to keep coming in here and saying that 1 point is good enough. It's not, and I think we're better than that. Our standard needs to be better than that." Wish Mike Tomlin would say something like that. Our standard needs to be better. The standard is the standard. How about we raise that standard a little bit there, Tomlin? Anyways, Penguins, they lose both of their games over the weekend. I think they're back in action Wednesday, maybe tomorrow night. I'm not quite sure. They did make a series of roster moves here today. forward Tristan Brose might be getting his first taste of NHL action. He got called up from Wilkes-Barre today. Brose down in Wilkes-Barre this season, 8 goals. That is first on the team and tied for 11th in the AHL. Has 13 points and very, very promising young forward. Philip Tomasino, he is also getting called back up from Wilkes-Barre. Defenseman Jack St. Ivany and Harrison Brunick both getting sent down to the AHL on conditioning stints. Both men have a maximum of 14 days or 5 games on their conditioning stints. So after this conditioning loan, we'll see what they do with Harrison Brunick. Still waiting to see if he'll go back to juniors or stick with the NHL team. Some other news and notes for the Penguins today from their practice. Brian Rust, not at practice today for the Penguins. He is sick. Ville Koivunen, though, he is back practicing, was in a yellow regular contact jersey. So even though he is still on injured reserve, positive step in the right direction for him. The Penguins also had a couple of guys skate before practice. Ricard Raquel, Noel Acciari, Justin Brazeau, those gentlemen skating again as they come back from their injuries. And very promising, Philip Hollander, after I think, a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks since it was revealed he had a blood clot in his leg, he is back skating already. So that is just truly amazing from him. Lines today at Penguins practice with no Brian Rust. Ben Kindle got put up on the first line. And also Tristan Brose centering the third line, I guess, with Sam Poulin and Tommy Novak. Other than that, no changes to the third and fourth lines. Matt Dumba still running with Ryan Graves on the third defense pairing, so he'll probably be back in there. He'll probably be back in there again next game. And yeah, that's what's all going on with the Pens right now. Just as good as the Steelers. Losses piling up in the month of November. Such a downtime in Pittsburgh sports history. Gotta tell you how much it sucks. Gonna get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news segment here for the program in a minute. Before that, let's do one more scroll here through the comment section, see if we got any more comments from you guys. You guys have now transitioned onto talking about the Rams and the Falcons. What did I miss? Did I miss something there? We bring it up Jared Verse and Matt Stafford. They did play a Sunday night last night. Stafford could throw like 68 yards in high school easy. Holy hell. Yeah, back to Steelers here. Don't really matter who we draft, to be honest, because do we have any sort of faith that this coaching staff currently is going to be able to develop them properly and get them to be an elite quarterback? Nope. You would have to have something insane, like someone who's raw talent in what the college did to develop them. You'd have to rely on that a bunch more than this coaching staff developing them if you're going to have any sort of rookie have success on this team, in my opinion. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news portion of the program here in a minute. Before we do that, we've been on stream for nearly an hour and 15 minutes now. Let's take a quick look here at Twitter, see if we have any new news going on right now. Some Pittsburgh Pirates news today to talk about. We'll get to that here in a moment. Also, talking about how crappy of a weekend it was for Pittsburgh sports. Steelers, Penguins all losing. Also, at least my Pitt Panthers, they were able to make us proud, taking down Georgia Tech in a big way. So how about them Pitt Panthers still alive in the ACC championship hunt? Not seeing too much else here new going on Twitter tonight. So let's get into it. The extra Pittsburgh sports news from the weekend. Let's start back here with the Pittsburgh Steelers again and news relating to them. This hopefully will be the last time that we bring up the Ja'Marr Chase, Jalen Ramsey spitting incident until these two teams meet again next season. Ja'Marr Chase today posting an apology to the Steelers, Bengals, and fans for spitting on Jalen Ramsey, but he did not mention Ramsey by name and said what he did was wrong, no matter the circumstances. I haven't seen it or read this thing yet. Let's share. Let's read through this together. Let me pop this up on screen and let's sniff out his sincerity BS here in this. So this here is it from Mr. Chase. To my team, fans, Bengals organization, Steelers organization, and the Steelers community. Please know I am speaking from the heart when I say I take full responsibility for my actions during last Sunday's game at Pittsburgh. Oh, really? Take full responsibility. Yeah, I guess he did say that he was going to spit in, if he was going to spit on Ramsey, he'd make sure he hit his face. So I guess he's kind of right there. And he means that from the heart. What I did was wrong. Circumstances. The circumstances don't matter. My passion for the game is no excuse. There's zero place in our sport or in life for that level of disrespect. I want to personally apologize to everyone in the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. I let my emotions in the moment get the better of me. I can only hope and trust you know none of it represents who I am, not as a competitor, teammate, or person. Didn't see any of this from Myles Garrett back when he took off Mason Rudolph's helmet and beat him with it. Also want to apologize to my coaches, teammates, and organization for not meeting my own standards as a leader of this team. Boy, wouldn't you like to hear that exact line coming from Mike Tomlin? I want to apologize to my fellow coaches, teammates, and organization for not meeting my own standards as a leader of this team. I guess that is a lie. Does, guess he does meet his standard because his standard is 9-8. We know that. Apologize to my fans, yada, yada, yada. With respect, Ja'Marr Chase. So there is his apology that he had. We buying it? You guys can let me know. Also, on this whole spitting incident, Jalen Ramsey over the weekend fined nearly $15,000 for punching Ja'Marr Chase. I guess they had to give Ramsey something in that case. For that whole situation. So in the end, Ramsey gets spit on, punches Ja'Marr Chase. Ramsey has to pay $15K. Ja'Marr Chase suspended 1 game, over $500K. Seems about right for that situation. Also, speaking of the Bengals, believe Flacco or someone brought it up earlier. Joe Burrow expected to play in Week 13, so he will be taking on the Ravens Thanksgiving night. I'm sure all of us will be glued to that game. Especially now because we need the Bengals to help us a little bit in knocking the Ravens back down below us in the standings. Bengals head coach Zach Taylor also telling reporters today there will be no T. Higgins or Trey Hendrickson against the Ravens. So it is Ja'Marr Chase and Joe Burrow against the world on Thursday against Baltimore. Speaking of Baltimore, kicker Justin Tucker, former Ravens kicker, his 10-game suspension now up by the NFL. He is working out along with former Browns kicker Cade York for the New Orleans Saints. So look out, New Orleans. Justin Tucker's coming to town. Couple other things here on the Steelers before we wrap up today's show. Thoughts and prayers to a tailgate booth worker down there, or parking attendant, in Chicago. Not sure if y'all saw this. Apparently, fans down there in Chicago for Sunday's game, apparently a parking attendant was robbed and shot early in the morning before the Bears-Steelers game. Good news is that the attendant is okay, so that is very, very fortunate. Still, though, thoughts and prayers for him and his recovery. Into the college world here for a second. Pittsburgh Steelers keeping track as best as we can of where they're at in the country during the college football Saturday games. The Steelers, they were scouting Cincinnati and BYU over the weekend. Brendan Sorsby, quarterback, draft eligible for Cincinnati, probably the most noteworthy guy there. Also, the Steelers, they had I think they had at least one scout, maybe even two, up in Eugene, Oregon. In that game, that one, if you're, a draft quarterback duo or guru, Dante Moore versus Jaden Mayava in that game. That was a solid game to watch there for those two. Some good things and bad things to take away from each of them. And I think one of the last things here on the Steelers here today, Brandon Ayuk, I guess, is now back in the conversation of possibly coming to the Steelers at some point. Apparently, the 49ers, they have grown increasingly frustrated with Ayuk, who has failed to attend team meetings and has declined to participate in team activities, as he is still, I think, on the mends from an ACL tear midway through the season last year. Of course, Ayuk, we remember, coming off of not even, I don't think, a year and a half removed from signing a 4-year, $120 million extension. So keep an eye on Brandon Ayuk. 49ers might be cutting him loose here soon enough. Who knows? Oh, and finally, the last thing here on the Steelers. Congratulations to Steelers rookie Y.A. Black. Gets the rock on a forced fumble Sunday. Also was able to put a rock on his now fiance's finger. He is now engaged. So congratulations to the F350, as Mike Tomlin likes to call him. Continuing here, I think that's all the extra Steelers news here for today. We'll get back into the Pittsburgh Penguins here for a second. I don't think there's too much extra news on them other than rookie defenseman. He's not a rookie yet. Second round draft pick from this past year's draft, Peyton Kettles, defenseman currently injured for I think the Kelowna Rockets, he signing a 3-year entry-level contract with the Pens here today. Congratulations to him. Is there anything else on the Penguins here? Don't think so. Anyways, wrapping up the extra Pittsburgh sports news here for the day. Talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates. They making more headlines over the weekend with what they are doing, or I guess predicted to do this offseason. They did on Friday night tender the contracts of O'Neal Cruz, Joey Bart, Dennis Santana, Johan Oviedo, and Justin Lawrence. They're going to try to get those guys under contract and avoid arbitration. Also with the Buccos right now, I'm sort of bouncing all over the place right now. More reports on who they are looking into for, to bring in free agency. This from Ken Rosenthal and Evan Drellich here today, two senior MLB insiders and writers for The Athletic. They mentioning multiple names that the Pirates have reportedly checked in or are going to check in on in free agency and the trade market this offseason. Free agency wise, apparently the Pirates are showing interest not just in Kyle Schwarber, which now there's conflicting reports out there on what the Pirates are going to do. Like, for example, Rosenthal and Drellich, they threw cold water on the Pirates being in on Josh Naylor before he re-signed with the Mariners. They say, according to people briefed on the discussions, that the Pirates never actually made an offer. So I'm going to take Rosenthal and Drellich for their words on that one, because I'm not going to give the Pirates any benefit of the doubt here. But also find it weird how Passan said one thing and these two say another. So conflicting reports right there. Anyways, back to the Pirates. They, according to Rosenthal and Drellich, have shown interest in signing Jorge Polanco from the Seattle Mariners, Ryan O'Hearn from the Baltimore Orioles, who then I think was traded at the deadline to the Kansas City Royals, and Kazuma Okamoto who I believe is a third first baseman, bounce back and forth type guy. I like it. Those names, Polanco, wouldn't mind. I think he's got some around the infield versatility, and he'd be a better bat, honestly, than Jared Triolo for most of the year. Hell, might even be a better bat than Nick Gonzalez. More consistency wise. Ryan O'Hearn, wouldn't mind that at all. O'Hearn, he is, I believe, mainly a DH, but can play some first base as well. And I said this, I think, last week. Yes, the Pirates do have Spencer Horwitz at first base, but if you have the opportunity to bring in a guy who plays first base and has raw power, something that Horwitz doesn't have all that much of because of his wrist, then you got to do it. Do not let an average player get in the way of you bringing in a good to great player. And O'Hearn, he's probably that. 281 batting average last year, 17 home runs, 803 OPS, 63 RBIs. Left-handed, Pirates could use that. Him hitting towards the short porch there in right field over the Clemente wall. The last one here, Kazuma Okamoto. Forget what Passan said about him, because he's now been brought up twice by 3 different insiders that the Pirates are in on him. I think he's a left-handed bat as well and has raw power. So those 3 guys would love for the Pirates to bring in one. They probably honestly should look into bring in 2 of those guys, or they could scour the trade market. Rosenthal and Drellich also said the Pirates are actively exploring trades, and they have checked in on these 3 guys from a division rival in the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals, they're looking to offload some guys. The Pirates have reportedly checked in on Brendan Donovan, Lars Nootbaar, and Nolan Gorman. So the Bucks looking in division, maybe with a trade there with the Cardinals. Could Mitch Keller be going the other way there, I wonder? The Cardinals could, use some pitching. I think, they got some older guys that are either getting let go or could be on the verge of retiring. Miles Michaelis to name one of them. And their starting pitching depth, I don't think is all that deep. So maybe that could be a Mitch Keller destination. Who knows? But getting Donovan, Nootbaar, Gorman, all left-handed bats, Donovan and Gorman, they have infield, outfield versatility. Nootbaar, I think he's a corner outfielder. Maybe you can stick him in left to be your replacement if you don't bring back Tommy Pham. Wouldn't mind that at all, honestly. So that's what the Pirates, the latest intel on them, that's what maybe they're thinking of doing. In the last, I think, thing or two here on the Pirates, the Pirates really wanted to do a Pirate thing. Yasmani Grandal got released over the weekend from the Boston Red Sox. Bring him back home. Paul Skeens could use his personal catcher back, even though Henry Davis has become that. And not sure if there's anything else on the Pirates here. I think that's it. Did not get the extra Pittsburgh sports news organized today as much as I liked, so I think that is it. And actually, this is the last thing before I forget. Congratulations, Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Go Hounds. They did it. USL champions. Came down to a shootout where I think our goalie made an outstanding sliding save. People saying it's like the Marc-Andre Fleury save, but in hockey terms. And then we scored on the following kick. So the Riverhounds, USL champions. Congratulations to the Hounds. At least one team is going to bring a championship back to Pittsburgh within the next half a decade. Glad to see the Hounds get it done. And before we wrap things up here this evening, let's go back to the comments section one more time here. You guys getting in a bunch of comments while I was getting through the extra Pittsburgh sports news here. Gonna say I'm about ready to order an NHL Authentic Pro Sharks jersey, but Fanatics has a sale on now. Get Pro, etc. for $296. I think I know who you're going with, THP. Aren't you a big Macklin Celebrini guy? Probably be a safe bet there for the Sharks. Random hindsight question. Would you go back and trade a first for Matt Stafford last offseason if you had the chance? with what we know now, just a fun hypothetical. That is a fun hypothetical. Thing is that would Stafford probably be as injury prone as Aaron Rodgers? Probably. Would he be able to make as many audibles as Rodgers at the line and bring in his experience in much better offensive systems? I also think yes. But at the end of the day, I don't think anyone who Tomlin brings in is going to get it done here, because he's still, deep down going to want them to be handicapped and not throw the ball a bunch. So I'm going to go with no, just because I think what you would get from Stafford would be an improvement, but not as much as you would like to invest the first pick in over Rodgers. So I'd rather just, ride it with Rodgers and keep the first round than bring one on Stafford just to get what? Maybe another touchdown pass here and there, something like that, maybe able to scramble around a little bit more. In the grand scheme of things, I don't think Stafford would, be able to dig this offense out from underneath the boot of Tomlin's conservative approach to that side of the ball. If he wins the Super Bowl, if the Rams go on a run here and win the Super Bowl, then my opinion on that would probably change. But I just don't think you'd see, Stafford be so much better than Rodgers that I would give a first round pick up for, rather than just, sign Rodgers for $13 million. Also, you got to take into account that too. You're going to be taking on Stafford's contract, which is twice as much as what Rodgers is currently making, maybe even more. So that's my thoughts on it. Though it is subject to change here in a couple of months. We'll get to that. And yeah, back issue. Very concerning. Don't like back issues whatsoever. Has T. Higgins' mom apologized? Yeah, LOL. No, I don't think so. I do not think so. Justin Tucker to the Browns with Watson. See your comment there. Their concepts. Nope, not the Browns. That Schmitz or Schmeitz, whatever their kicker's name is, I guess he settled down a bit, was wild as hell to begin the season. Didn't he miss a kick at some point against the Steelers? Karma to the 49ers. Trash GM John Lynch. No hate on Ayuk, though, for business. I don't know enough to, speculate any further other than just say that it is going on out there. I will say, even though Ayuk is doing whatever he's doing out there in San Francisco, if his, now trade stock gets knocked down a good bunch to where maybe you can sneak him onto your roster in the offseason for like a fourth and have the 49ers eat money, then yeah, I'd still be going for it, just, for the chance of it, because I don't care what he's doing over there now. My opinion, aside from, doing anything truly character to get or denigrating, I'd say keep it up, Ayuk. Go lessen that trade stock, so the Steelers might be able to swoop in for one of Omar Khan's typical, we give you a fifth, you give us Ayuk and a six back, and you also wipe out the rest of his contract, and it's basically a 1-year deal. I wouldn't mind that. I say grab Ayuk. If we still suck, then WR2 isn't the problem. At least it'll shut us fans up to think it's a wide receiver 2 issue. Yeah, at this point, I put Ayuk in the, Jacoby Myers territory, where he'd be more of a wide receiver 2 than he is a 1 on this team. And then maybe you see if that works. If not, then you might as well just, start wiping out the wide receiver room and look for first round wide receivers galore in the draft. Let's go here. More comments. THP in the comments section talking about the Pirates. Here, Barry Bonds, one of my heroes. Got an auto from him as a kid. That is awesome there, THP. Honestly, it is. I'll take everything with a grain of salt. Nice guy. Best hitter ever, says Tyrone. Indeed. Barry Bonds, he was special. THP here in the comments saying catcher is in a is an area that the Pirates need to address. Haven't really heard all that much from catcher, honestly. It's the Pirates. They'll probably run it back with Joey Bart and Henry Davis. They also just traded David Bednar and brought back Rafael Flores, so they might give that kid a shot at catcher. Though I think if they were to make a real addition at catcher, I think I heard maybe JT Real Muto, catcher for the Phillies. 34, 35 years old. Phillies are going to try to put money elsewhere onto the team. Maybe you can offer him a 2-year contract, see if he comes here. That'd be, pretty much the only guy that I could think of in that scenario. Magic here. This draft should be interesting to say with at least 12 picks. It will be, with 12 picks, but also, what are you really going to do with those 12 picks? Because you can package them up all you want in any which way, but also you got to remember the league around you. There's 3, maybe even 4 other teams right now that have multiple first-round picks in this year's draft. Plus, I think even multiple first-round picks in next year's draft as well. So having 12 picks is nice and dandy, but if you really, really want someone, but then some other team really, really wants that same someone, they might one-up you. Instead of giving up, a first this year, your first this year, and a 2 next year, or a 2 this year to move up, a team might go, hey, we'll just give you 2 1s, and that might, hinder the Steelers from getting the guy they truly want. Truth Thong in here. Welcome, Truth. First comment I've seen from you here. Quick, precise, and to the point. Pickens, Dotson, Minka, all having great years. Omar is overrated. I think more than anything, Omar, I'm not going to blame him for trading away those guys. I think you can look at the coaching staff for not utilizing those guys more than it is Omar acquiring them or offloading them. Pickens, he was running either go routes or out routes here in Pittsburgh. Now he's running the entire route tree for Dallas, and it's working. Dotson, Steelers stuck him at left guard. He's naturally a right guard. They put him at right guard out there in LA. Boom, he turns out great. Minka, not sure what he's doing down there in Miami, but I know for a fact here, him playing up here in Pittsburgh, he was playing out of position, freaking 50 yards off the line of scrimmage as a center fielder. And I would like to think that the Dolphins are using him in a more versatile role than he was here in Pittsburgh. So I'm not going to go at Omar for that, Truth. I put those guys, in the Steelers didn't know how to use them more than, Omar made a bad pick or a terrible trade in getting those guys and ended up offloading them, for being honest here. Tomlin wins a playoff game this year. He's good for another 2 seasons. Tomlin is good regardless of what happens. Tomlin, we could lose the rest of the games this season. Honestly, the Steelers could, and we know he's not going to go anywhere because Art Rooney will say, Tomlin finally had a losing season. Well, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He's allowed to have 1 losing season. We'll bring him back. As long as Art Rooney is here, Mike Tomlin is not going anywhere. And no matter what we say here, we could talk for another hour here. It's not going to change. Honestly, it is. It isn't. Steelers can beat the Colts, Chargers, Texans, Patriots, in my opinion. Regular season, yeah. Playoff, though, watch the Steelers, poop their pants. It all depends, honestly, how I would feel about the Steelers going into a playoff matchup with those teams. It honestly would matter to me which way those teams are trending in the final month of the season. Right now, the Steelers, they're on a downward trajectory. Meanwhile, the Texans, they just decimated the Bills with Davis frickin' Mills. The Chargers, they got a franchise quarterback in Justin Herbert. They're doing all right. The Colts, toe-to-toe with the Chiefs. How did that game end up? Did the Chiefs win? I think they did. But anyway, the Colts, I still would take my money with Shane Steichen being able to figure out the Tomlin defense in spite of Daniel Jones second time around. And the Patriots, Drake May and them, they're flying high right now. They have lost 1 game since we played them. They've been on a heater. So, yeah, just not going to trust the Steelers in any sort of playoff matchup, especially with the way they're heading. And Chargers are beat up. Patriots aren't great, in my opinion. We'll see. Chargers definitely are beat up. I mean, geez, injury gods, they hate them this season. Definitely didn't say the Pirates need a catcher, LOL. Was a fan of Mike Lavalier. Oh, my bad. I missed that comment earlier. Still, though, my point stands on the Pirates catcher situation. Entire route tree against no one. But still, though, that Dallas offense, they're built around the pass. So, still, the GP, no matter what, you're not going to convince me the GP there in Dallas was going to be the GP, was going to be that same GP here in Pittsburgh if he stayed. There's absolutely no way. Tyrone 5 in a row against top 3 teams. Also played 3 games in 10 days. Only team to ever do that in history. NFL can't ignore context. Talking about the Patriots there, I assume. There. What about that Ravens playoff game? Yeah. Geez, yeah, I had to bring that up, Tyrone. I don't think anyone here wants to remember the Ravens-Steelers playoff game from last season. Pretty sure right now Derrick Henry just ran another 25 to 30-yard gain. Like Tomlin, feel like it's the coordinators in a wonky team that doesn't mesh well. Who hires the coordinators, Flacco? Who brings them in? It's not Omar Khan. It's not Art Rooney, even though he signs their paychecks. It's Tomlin. Tomlin gets to pick the coordinators. That's if it's a wonky fit and doesn't mesh well, it's on him. Like Omar, but giving away some goods feels like it hurts considering it's almost the same defense as last year. I think you're seeing better usage of Jalen Ramsey than you would have with Minka Fitzpatrick, if that's any sort of consolation. Oh boy, all of you here. Who hires them coaches? Exactly, Tyrone. Of the season, Chiefs, Eagles, Ravens were top 3 teams as of last year. Now the Ravens, they're on the up and up. Eagles are still doing all right, besides losing to Dallas and the Chiefs. Do the Chiefs make the playoffs? I think they do. Honestly, the way the Steelers are heading, I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs end up sneaking into the playoffs over the Steelers. And we'll, see the Steelers maybe be kept out because of it. I'm used to us losing end of November till January. Feels like every year in the cold. Yep. The big bad Pittsburgh Steelers who pride themselves on physicality and hitting their stride late in the season. All of that, all of those narratives completely flushed down the toilet. What's the schedule this week, Brady? We doing Thanksgiving or Pens games this week? Been thinking about that. THP was going to bring that up at the end of the program here. Definitely there will be a live stream tomorrow night for the Mike Tomlin Tuesday press conference. Thursday, Thanksgiving, I'm all for just everyone spending time with their families on holidays. So Thanksgiving, I'll guarantee you right now, there won't be anything that day. Friday will probably be another live stream because final injury reports for the Steelers and all that will be out by then. Wednesday, that is the one day this week that I right now have no idea what's going on. So I'm going to put a pin in Wednesday until I'll let you guys know tomorrow what if there's going to be something Wednesday or not. It might be a full day. It might be a day where there's just a FCSR 60. It might be a day where there's nothing, and then you will have 2 days off heading into Thanksgiving. But as of right now, normal day tomorrow, live stream SCSR 60. Wednesday, TBD on all fronts. Thanksgiving, please, everyone, take a day, go with your family, be thankful, eat turkey. And then Friday, we'll come back here and wrap up the week of news before we head into another Steelers week. So that's the schedule right now there, THP. But thank you for bringing it up because I did want to mention that before the end of the stream here. And I think that is going to be it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen, on stream for over an hour and 45 minutes now, nearly a 2-hour stream here on a Monday, recapping and coping together over another terrible Pittsburgh sports weekend. Steelers lose a game that they could have won, and the Penguins, they suck, and the Pirates, yay, they're checking in on guys, but will they actually make a move of significance in free agency? I seriously doubt it. Prove me wrong there, though, Mr. Bob Nutting and Ben Charrington, you morons. All right. Think that's going to do it. Last couple comments here, concepts. Any updates on Broderick's stinger injury? Did not see anything on Broderick Jones. I think Mike Tomlin addressed it in his post-game press conference. The last thing I saw on Broderick, this from Alan Saunders of Pittsburgh Steelers now, Jones was moving fine in the locker room and said he is feeling okay after the game. So I think it is just a stinger, but getting landed on like that with your neck, that looked very wonky and jarring in real time. So I'm glad he just took the rest of the game off at that point. Don't want to do anything. Don't want to make that injury, even if it's minor, anything serious. So that's the last thing we heard on Jones, and I think that's going to be the last thing we talk about today. So I think that's going to do it. Appreciate you all coming here on Monday. Come on back here tomorrow. We'll talk about Mike Tomlin's Tuesday press conference and any other news and information that we come across in the next 24 hours. Then after that, we'll probably be on to Thanksgiving in some turkey time. So last word here from THP. Not even if I'm not here, happy Thanksgiving, everyone, and God bless you. God bless you too, THP. I hope all of you have a great Thanksgiving. I'll definitely bring that up again tomorrow for sure. So see you guys all back here tomorrow for Mike Tomlin Tuesday press conference wrap-up. I'm sure we'll all have a field day with that and anything else we come across. For the final time, on your way out, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so that you never miss a thing here on the channel. Again, up to 642 subscribers on the channel. Gained a new subscriber here tonight during stream. I appreciate that subscriber. Like this live stream, share this live stream, leave a comment in the comment section, and we will see you guys back here tomorrow. Have a good rest of your Monday night. Love that there from you, Concepts. I am proud of you. I brought them up passing by, but I'm sure we'll bring it up at some point in the near future. Have a good rest of your Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Peace. See you back here tomorrow for a Tomlin Tuesday.